Good morning, everybody. So apologies, I made a mistake in my ad or my chat to you guys on Monday and said the live thing is going to be on Wednesday. I couldn't because of the Sora conference and this other thing that I'm attending, this course that I'm attending that's actually quite mind-blowing. I've shared some information on that yesterday that Debbie Craig is running. So I've got a bit of a sniffle going on, so sorry for the the blockness. So today I've got to talk to you about conquering fears, and I've done some research on the topic, trying to figure out how do we tackle this. So I've got like 2 pages full of stuff that I want to share with you. But I think what I want to do is I just first want to share with you that conquering fears is something that's quite close to my heart. And I think a lot of people underestimate how often we've got to do this. So one of the things that I've been struggling with, especially probably for the past 10, 15 years, has been anxiety. And anxiety is based in a fear and a basic instinct to fear. And this anxiety disorder was triggered many years ago. I had a very traumatic experience with my children, and it was triggered, and only much later on I realized that this thing was happening. And at the same, and a few years later, not at the same time, a few years later, after I've had all my kids, one of my children also developed the same anxiety thing. And it was only then that I realized what was going on and why some of these things were happening. So I'm talking to you about anxiety, but at the same time, I'm talking to you about how do you get over fears? What is it that we do? And one of the things, and I've read a lot about these things, and I've really studied it in depth, and also because that's one of our big sort of family struggles. And one of the things that I've learned was that if you want to overcome anxiety as a disorder or as a huge challenge, depending on how it started and to what extent is it a chemical thing, it is always a chemical thing, but to what extent is it something that because of your beliefs and because of your stories that it's triggered, or is it something that happens to you on a daily basis? So I'm going to overshare. So in my particular case, I've got a window of really hectic anxiety, and it's usually between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and you're lucky, you've just missed it, in the morning. And I mean, I've been to cardiologists, I've been to all sorts of psychiatrists and interesting people, and my heart rate is literally, I would sit around and I would do nothing, and my heart rate would easily be 120, 130. And you know, people would ask me, what's wrong? Why are you anxious? Why are you feeling this way? And it's not that. It's not a real fear that I can say to, oh, I'm so scared because I've got to do this and this, or I'm anxious about something. It's just, it is what it is. Your heart is racing, you are frazzled, and your brain is completely in that panic space. And so the same sort of symptom happens to the children. And what you've got to do is you've got to learn. So that's why you often need medication as well as therapy, not just the one or the other. So what we had to learn was, and what I had to learn was, how do you, in spite of this thing that is happening to your body, through your brain, how can you change it? So one of the things that I've noticed specifically, and I've been tracking it for a very long time, is that to manage your anxiety, you can literally monitor it by and track it and calm it down by means of breath, the way you breathe, and breathing in and out through your nose, 5 seconds in. And if you can hold it for 5 seconds and let it out again and hold it empty for 5 seconds, it is incredible to calm your heart rate, to calm fears, to calm those hormones that's just pumping through your body. So the first I think the first point that I want to make is that when you think about fear and conquering fear and the physical effect of fear, it's real. It's a chemical thing, it's in your brain, and it plays out in different ways for different people. And I think for children specifically, it's incredibly hard because they don't know what's happening to their bodies. And even for adults, it's because you feel completely out of control. And another, so breath is incredibly powerful when you do feel anxious and when you do feel scared. The other thing that's phenomenal is deep touch. So just deep hugs and holding on. That is amazing. And like the psychiatrist that helped us said, you know, all it is your body needs to be reminded that it's not dying. And that's exactly what's going on. Your body thinks there's a lion, and the body thinks you've got to run. You've got to prepare now for this lion that shows up every day. So I would like to, okay, so that's part of it. So it's a physical thing. And the other thing that apparently is incredibly good is and if you watch people like Tony Robbins, jumping into an ice cold pool also just kills it. So the physical experience is also a cold shower. It's actually a really good thing. Not that I do it, but a cold shower is incredibly good because it also reminds you that you're okay. Or going have a lovely swim early morning. It's fantastic. So the physical, I think it's incredibly important to recognize that your body responds in a certain way. What I also know works incredibly well for me is yoga. And the girls that work with me always laugh because when I can hear that they're anxious or they start to panic about the pressures and the stuff that we need to get out, I always say to them, please just do a down dog, because the moment you move and you get the right hormones in your spine, you calm down and your brain can start functioning again. Because remember what happens when you're in that panic state, your IQ drops. So you start asking really what I would call stupid questions, and there's no such thing as a stupid question. And when you're under pressure, you don't realize you're not thinking clearly. And when you're panicking, you don't realize it. So using your body just to calm down and bending your back forward and stretching is incredible to calm you down, to conquer fear. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about your brain. And the focus of how you change your thinking. And so this is it. You have a story in your brain that guides your behavior. So the story is, there's something that I can't do, or I'm not going to be good enough. And that story is the thing that creates that fear. Excuse me. So it's very, very interesting. So I've been listening to Marisa Peer. So go and have a look. She's got a website, marisapeer.com. The other one is Shelley Lefko, and then Byron Katie. So all three of them basically say the same thing, and they basically use the same sort of methodology, and that's why I reference them. Because I've tested all these different things over the years, and especially Byron Katie's work, it's mind-blowing that it can be so simple. So what you basically do is you can either journal, or you can sit and you can talk to somebody and have like a thinking partner. So remember we spoke about the work of Nancy Klein, where you've got a thinking partner. And so the question that was the chick's name, Shelley asked, is she said, what belief do you have? So there's a fear, and the fear says, I'm not going to be able to present this new document, for example. And then the idea behind it is to say, if that is the case, so what is the belief? Now, and you go deeper and deeper. So where it's very similar to what Byron Katie says, is she says, just write down what you're thinking. And she uses relationships quite a lot. So how you feel about somebody and what you think about somebody, and you just let it rip. And I find that so incredibly releasing and so healthy. And also to write those things about yourself. So once you've written them, then what you do is you go back and you ask the question. Line by line, you ask the question, because that is your belief. And that belief is driving your behavior, okay? And you want to change that behavior. So you take that belief and you say, is it true? And our automatic response is, of course it's true, I've just wrote it, this is what, and then you say, but the moment you ask, is it true? What you really do in that moment is you create doubt, which is fantastic, because you want to doubt that belief, because it's probably not true. There's never just one story. So, and then the second question is it really true? And I know it sounds silly and simple, but it works like a charm. So when I was in Bali, Anna, the yoga therapist, used to talk to me a lot about neutral mind and the whole idea about a neutral mind. And there's lots of meditations and all sorts of yogas and things that do, yoga moves, asanas that you can do for a neutral mind. A neutral mind basically says that you don't judge. You sit and you hold a thought and it's not yours. You're not that thought. So you're not that belief. And so what this process does is exactly that. And the moment you can see it for what it is, you're released from it and it takes away the fear. So the process carries on by basically saying, what does it do for you and why is it that you get value from thinking that? And then you realize, I don't. It actually hurts me. And then you've got to turn it around. And the turning around one I like a lot, because it's almost like it throws your brain upside down. And what it does is it recreates a path. So the pathway that you had, where you would think, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, blah, 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 suddenly, I can do this. And so suddenly this thought doesn't mean anything anymore. And that's how you can get over that fear. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope that I encourage you to go and just read a little bit more and just go and listen to what these people talk about, because what it really does, it changes the way you see the world, and it creates a thing of when you've got one perception, it's just one perception. There are so many other views to the same thing, and because that is the truth, that is why you can get over the fear, because it's not real, it's in your mind. So thank you so much, unless there's a real line, of course, but that's highly unlikely. So I hope that makes a lot of sense, and I hope that it was valuable, and thank you so much for watching, and please feel free to comment and tell me what you think about what we're talking about.